Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Sunday Show. Um, you all, hold on a second. Hold on a second here. You know how we start this show off? You know why this podcast exists? So we always start it off by telling you how many days until the football season starts because football is the only sport that ever existed. So I don't care about basketball, I don't care about baseball, I don't care about soccer, but I'm pleased to let you all know there are 125 days until the NFL season kicks off. 125 days, and the schedule is going to be announced sometime in May. I think that's going to be on a Wednesday night. I still haven't decided if I'm gonna do a show on that Wednesday night. Like I said, Bear, go Bears. Really, Scott? Really? Yeah, you might. I think that Bears deal is off. I don't think they're not gonna move to Indiana. I don't know why is y'all thinking that they're not. They're gonna stay right there. They should stay in Soldier Field because that's like only one or two like real stadiums left, that in Lambeau Field. Like, stay right there. Don't no. I still want Candlestick to come back. I know San Francisco plays at Levi. Just be quiet. I know that, but I still want them to tear it down, go back to actual San Francisco, build Candlestick, and let's call it a day. But there are 125 days until football comes back. So gonna pay some bills here. Hit that subscribe button. I'm up to 417. You all know 500 is the goal. That means I'm 83 away from uh, hitting 500. Support me on Patreon. Patreon support helps me to buy a ring light because it just went out. I think my blood sugar is crashing. Oh, I hope not. So I may have to. Oh, yeah. Okay, guys. Give me 2 minutes. 2 minutes. I promise I'll be right back. Scott, you can talk about your channel
You
while
want
I
to?
get.
I'll keep them entertained, Tracy. No, thank you. Number one, R.I.P. to Tracy's ring light. Let's give it the Sammy Sosa treatment there. Yeah, okay. Let's listen. I will pick it up. I don't want to get into the good stuff without Tracy here. Let's keep talking about football. Number one, I totally agree. The Bears belong outside in Chicago, on the lake. Where real men play football. None of this dome shit. I know I'm not supposed to swear here, Tracy. Don't Tracy. Don't tell Tracy I've done that. But no, the Vikings, the Lions, them dome stadiums. That is not how football is meant to be played. Got respect for the Packers. They do it right. Even though I'm a Bears fan, Packers do it right. And yes, it is true. The Bears, listen, I'm a Bears fan, but the family that runs the team, they are using the people of Indiana. They are pitting us and our tax dollars against the people of Illinois and their tax dollars. I don't think any tax dollars should be spent on any stadium anywhere. And you're really going to hate me for this one, Tracy, because the one owner who did that stadium thing right is one Jerry Jones down in Dallas because he paid for the thing himself.
I'll hate you. He's the worst owner in the league. But hey, a wrong clock is right twice a day.
Listen, I wish they all did it that way. I know they got enough money. Certainly, if they can afford these teams, they can afford to buy the stadiums for sure.
Yeah. So all the people you knew they weren't going to put it in Gary, even though Gary's technically closer to Chicago than Hammond. Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Well, I hate to butt actually there, but I did live up in the region for a little bit, and Hammond does actually butt up against the Illinois border, where Gary does not.
That's right.
Hammond and East Chicago before Gary there. But listen, Gary is a potential gem just waiting to happen with the right leadership and the right investment. Man, you got the train right there. Lots of opportunities for folks to buy homes. I mean, there's the infrastructure is set up for a city that used to have a heck of a lot more people than it does now. It needs a lot of love and a lot of investment, but You know, I'm from up that way originally. I'm from Michigan City. I'm about 20 minutes from Gary, and I do have a soft spot for that town.
All they got to do with the success of the Michael biopic, take the house that the Jacksons lived in and build like a gigantic museum. That's all they had to do. Like literally all they have to do.
My 8 year old, well, almost 8 year old nephew is obsessed with Michael Jackson. And, you know, at this point, we're going to let him be obsessed with Michael Jackson, with the dancing, with the music. This kid is a natural performer, you know, so there are a lot of cues to take from there. We just don't want to tell him about any of that other stuff just yet.
You know, you watch my biopic breakdown. I'm not here for that mess. He was found innocent. Let's keep it moving. But they could just literally build a studio. They could just literally build a gigantic museum and let's keep it going. However, on the docket, we've got a lot to discuss. We're going to briefly discuss the virus that's breaking out that caused two cruise ships, I believe, to like shut down their services. I still don't understand data centers, although I keep trying to understand them. Why you got to build so many, that doesn't make sense to me. And why are they always built in black neighborhoods as opposed to other non-neighborhoods? Because nobody's like pointing that out. I also want to talk about Trump literally thinks he's going to be president forever. Um, do know. Um, he keeps wanting to name stuff after himself. However, watching your show, you mentioned the Obama Library. Also, so yeah, because people, you know, people that look like me aren't allowed to criticize Obama for some reason. Like black people are still enamored with Obama. I don't know why. We're mostly going to talk about the primaries in Indiana that just took place May the 5th. And then I'm going to lastly talk about why I can't be president of the United States. And one of mine is going to, um, I'll just give you five like popular phrases that I use that I'm like, ooh, that's not going to be it. So, Scott, I'll let you tell me which one you want to talk about first.
Well, I'll tell you what. I opened up my show this morning talking about this hantavirus, this cruise ship. They got that docked off of the Canary Islands right now. I haven't checked in since this morning if they let those folks off of it yet. But you know, I guess sexy is the wrong word. It's not. It's not sexy for a cruise ship to be, you know, a place where a disease breakout takes place, but is very much in the news and kind of dominating the news cycle right now. And I think if you listen to the WHO, and those are real people you need to listen to when it comes to like disease and viruses and healthcare in the world. You certainly don't want to listen to RFK and our CDC at the moment when it comes to these things. They'll probably tell you to take ivermectin and drink methylene blue. But it sounds like this, for the people that are on that ship and came into contact with the folks that had contracted it, it is a big deal for the population at large. It doesn't sound like this is the kind of thing that is like easily transmissible and can get airborne like COVID was. So, you know, it's a story right now. I don't think this thing is going to pop off like COVID did. You know, knock on wood.
See, of course, I don't want it to be like COVID. However, you are exactly right. RFK is a piece of garbage. I don't even know if I can say anything nice about this guy. He's problematic. How in the heck? Like, it would make sense for him, like, to have appointed. I'm trying to turn my heater down. Somebody that had, like, I don't know, a medical background. And I know that's different than Surgeon General, right? Because I still am wondering, why do we even have a Surgeon General, but we have it? Why can't the Surgeon General be head of the CDC? It would make sense to me, but heck, that's just me. Trump would have been better off putting me at the head of the CDC. At least I have enough sense to know, oh, well, you got to pay attention to science. RFK's out here with his black people or subsidiaries or not immune to certain diseases. Like, you went to college? Like, what? I can't even begin to say how unept this guy really is.
Well, listen, with the name Kennedy, they'll let you in. He's one of them legacy admits. I don't trust them legacy kids. But, I'm surprised, frankly, Tracy, that RFK hasn't come down with the hantavirus at some point. He always be messing with like weird wildlife and stuff. I guess this thing is spread by like rodent droppings and whatnot. And this dude is like messing with raccoons and bears and everything else. I don't know if you've heard some of these weird whales, these weird RFK wildlife stories, but I'm surprised at this point that he hasn't come in contact with the hantavirus. Who knows? Maybe he has. Maybe he's actually the person we need in charge right now.
He said he had a brain worm or something like that. He's got worms in it. Like, what? This is what happens when people don't vote. This kind of stupidity happens when people say, I'm not going to vote. This incompetent, I don't cuss, so I got to watch what I'm going to say because I know what I want to say. This kind of Barbie, it's not even Barbie. It's like a Barbie knockoff. It's like Trump just gets people that look, well, I've never found Kennedy to be attractive, but he's not like ugly. He just gets people that look right, in his mind, look right for the position, but have no qualifications.
Central casting. He's always talking about central casting.
Exactly. Like Pete Hegseth didn't serve. He served in the military, but really,
he's in the National Guard. Like he wasn't some general, He didn't.
Like a general. He wasn't out there in combat. He was like, and not to discredit people that serve in the National Guard. That's a very important thing. But really, Secretary of Defense, I refuse to call it Secretary of War. I will not. Just like I will not call the Las Vegas Raiders. No, you're Oakland. You always will be Oakland. I don't care. Blah, blah, blah. I will not call you the Secretary of War. No. But he doesn't. I'm like, it's just, I'm so at a loss of words. I don't even know what to say. I'm just like, are you kidding me? That's all I can say is, are you kidding me? Are you serious? This is what we get?
When it comes to these transmissible diseases and things like the hantavirus or God knows the next pandemic, and there will be another one at some point with climate change, you're going to find all sort. Number one, people are expanding and stripping habitat and moving further and further out and getting closer to wildlife in that way. But also, like with climate change, you're going to find that different viruses spread more easily in the new climate, and we don't even know what's coming next. We're going to have to white knuckle it as long as Trump is in office, just hoping that the next pandemic doesn't hit. The dude's track record on that, on these sort of things is not great. And it's even worse, the people he's got in place this time. So, knock on wood, pray, whatever you do, hope that the next major pandemic does not pop off during the next 2 years or however long he's going to say, right? He says he's going to be here for another 8 or 9 in his mind.
And you just moved on to my next topic. I forgot to hit some of the other commercials because I wanted to get right to the topics. Support me on Patreon. Y'all know my light just went out, so your little $2 a month, that will really help me get another one because I can't take no more Walmart ring lights. I cannot. These things don't last long. But, I mean, I will if I have to, but I really want to get really good lighting.
Help Tracy buy the good stuff.
Yes, help me to buy the good stuff. My GoFundMe campaign to meet some personal expenses I've had, but most importantly, and I might leave this up for a long time, contribute to the First Baptist Church North Drama Camp, which I am leading this year. Help us to send 42 children to camp. We're trying to raise $3,500. Your contribution, large or small, is greatly appreciated. Camp starts June the 20th, ends August the 16th with a performance. And I'm mentioning that because this show will not air August the 16th because we will be performing our play. So please help us by contributing any amount that you can will be most helpful. So I want to get to data centers, and I didn't want to spend a lot of time on them, but there's some things about data centers that I'm kind of missing, and maybe you can help me with this. So I understand that data centers are places where information moves and it's stored. I know I'm like way off, but I'm just saying what I understand about them. Because we have lots of information. It has to be stored somewhere. I thought it was in the cloud, but hey, whatever, this is what I thought. Um, why do we need them? Why are they so large? Why do we need so many? And why are they always built in black neighborhoods? Because these are things I'm like, they never are built in the suburbs. They're always built in like the poorest black neighborhoods that they can find.
The poorest black neighborhoods, and they build them out in the rural areas too. It's where folks are easily exploitable in their view, right? The folks don't have a lot of political power in the cities, in the historically black and Latino neighborhoods for that matter, and also in the rural areas where there's just less people and less people power to organize against them. And maybe we could stick a pin in this and come back around to it. I think this is maybe one of those issues where you can cross that urban rural divide, because don't nobody want a data center in their area. It doesn't matter what part of the city, what part of the state you're in. But I guess the what they are and why we need them, we can debate whether or not we need them, but so what they are, these are basically just large warehouses, typically, where just racks and racks and racks of servers are. And think of a server as an internet connected hard drive. Basically, it's a computer, but it's just dedicated to like storage. Listen, your computer, you got a hard drive, you save your files, right? You do that on there. These data centers, they are the cloud in a way. Instead of saving your data on your computer in front of you on that hard drive, you save it on a hard drive that's connected to the internet somewhere else in one of these data centers. And if you're smart, or if the people who are engineering the cloud, as it were, are smart folks, it's not just saved in one place, it's saved in multiple places. If one goes out, then you got your data somewhere else. Redundancy is important in these situations, but you need data for everything. We're using data right now, right? We're using bandwidth. We're saving this video file is going to be stored somewhere when we're all done. Probably going to be stored in a couple places when we're done, but Facebook uses data, Netflix uses data, all your streaming services that rely on these data centers. But the reason they're proliferating so much right now, and they're building so many and so at such scale and so fast, is because of AI. AI, especially like generative AI, uses a hell of a lot more data than even things like your social media or your streaming service. So they need lots and lots and lots of storage. And the reason folks don't want these in their neighborhoods, there are several. So because you have all these servers, you got a computer on your desk. When it does work, it heats up a little bit, right? Not a lot. It's just one little chip, one little server, or one little hard drive. Well, if you multiply that out by thousands and thousands and thousands all in one place, they put off a lot of heat, and so you need cooling. And so these data centers use a lot of water, and there's ways to do this where you recycle the water and you keep it in a closed loop system. Some of these data centers do that, other ones don't. They bring in the water for cooling, and then it winds up getting dumped right back into the river or the reservoir or wherever it came from. And there is potential for like PCBs or other chemical contaminants to get into the water system because of that. And then there's the electrical load, right? Powering all these devices requires huge amounts of electricity. And just a handful of data centers, these massive AI data centers that they're building right now in Indiana, Microsoft's building them, Amazon's building them, Google's building them, Meta's building them. They are due at, once they're all functional and at operational capacity, will use more electricity than all of the homes in Indiana combined for like these 7 data centers or something. That's crazy. Well, who pays for that? The electric companies might have to add extra capacity. Theoretically, the AI companies should be paying for that. In reality, that gets spread out to everybody who's paying their electric bill. So, I think Indiana's utility rates are some of the highest in the country. And so you got the water, you got the power, you got the noise. These again, think of the little fan, the computer on your desk. It has a little hum to it, right? Multiply that by thousands and thousands and thousands. These things can put out decibels to the point where it's like a small aircraft, almost like you're not like you're living next to an airport, but pretty darn close.
Right. And I think, and that's where what kind of makes me mad about at least the data center that's coming to I don't know how familiar you are with Indianapolis, the Martindale Brightwood area.
Mm-hmm.
Those residents were told by their lying, trifling city council, oh, we're against this. And then somehow, not so much. And it makes me question, because I definitely tell people to vote. I'm always going to tell people to vote. But when you organize and you still lose, like these people really organized, they really got their neighborhoods together, they really rallied against the data centers, but yet the data centers are still happening. And I don't know what to tell them. I don't know what to tell them because it feels like, oh, well, big money wins again.
It does, and they organized every step of the way. Against every time there was a zoning hearing, the people showed out for this thing, and every city council hearing, like I said, multiple zoning hearings. Every time there was like a community information session, the people turned out and they said, "We don't want this in our neighborhood." To your point, Councilor Ron Gibson there. He says, well, he's like, hey, listen, this thing might be a benefit to our community. They're going to come in. This plot of land has been unused for 40 years. They're not paying taxes on this thing. Maybe they can come in here and this company can build something useful to our community, pay taxes. I guess this Metro Blocks thing does use a closed loop water system, so that's one of the concerns. Maybe you can okay, well, they're doing that part right, but the power thing still a problem. The noise still a problem. The construction. This is a massive construction job. It's going to throw up all sorts of particulate matter into the air. And then the power issue with this thing, Tracy. Like I said, these data centers in the state, they've got to draw a lot of power, more than all the homes in the state combined. I guess this Metro Blocks thing at capacity will use more power than the entire city of Muncie. Okay, Muncie ain't a big city, but it's a city, and
right.
This Metro Blocks thing is going to use more power than that. And if for some reason, here's the real concern, I think, if for some reason AES, the utility there in your area, can't keep up, well, they're all set to use diesel generators to power this facility instead. And they've got, I want to say, Wild Style Paschal says they're going to have 36 diesel generators on site that could power this thing if it's not getting enough power. Well, that's like having buses on buses on buses just idling in one place in your neighborhood, not to mention the storage for all that diesel fuel. God, forbid something happens with that in that area. So, to your point, what you said, they put these things in predominantly black areas. I don't know if you're familiar with what's going on in Memphis right now with Elon Musk's XAI data center down there. That thing's being powered by like methane turbines. The air quality in Memphis wasn't great to begin with. It's even worse now. Folks in the area are getting sick. They're getting asthma. It's like they're reinventing Cancer Alley in many places across the country.
Yeah, and again, to my point, it's like you said it. The people who were against this did everything right. I mean, everything. And it almost makes me want to run. I don't want to run because I'll end up just like them. But everybody that voted for that data center needs to be out of office. Period. This is an environmental issue. This is you literally not listening to your constituents are telling you, we don't want this in our neighborhood. You say, I know, we'll do whatever we want. And our mayor, See, we're going to talk about the mayor's race. But if Hawk said run, you know what? I want him to run. I want him to run just so I can vote against him. Just so I can I'll swallow every beef I have against the Democratic Party. Like, hand me that Democratic ballot. Hand it to me. Because I can't with this guy. Oh, well, we should just look at it and study it. Which, at the surface, kind of makes sense. But you can see where he was getting influenced the whole time. And that's where I'm like, you know what? No, but to my other point, I don't know what to tell the residents now that it's going to happen. I don't know what to tell them because I'm like, they literally did everything that I would tell organizers to do. They showed up at the meetings. They had signs. They reached out to people. And big money keeps winning. And I'm like, that's what we need to stop. Big money. It has to stop. Has to stop. Has to stop.
And I always say I'm not a Luddite. I am not reflexively opposed to AI. I'm not reflexively opposed to data centers. They can be done right. Potentially, there are places where you could redevelop old industrial properties that aren't being used. There are, the closed loop system. That's great. Okay, how about we also use renewable energy instead of using the same fossil fuels that are powering everything and, driving climate change? How about these people pay their taxes? It'd be nice, okay, if you're coming into the neighborhood, the reason that we want these things is, well, they're going to pay taxes on a property that hasn't been paying taxes, has been unused for a long time. Are they going to pay taxes? We give these folks tax abatements that last 30 to 50 years sometimes. So they're not paying their fair share. They're not actually providing value to their neighbors. And so they could be done right. There are places in the rest of the world, in Europe, in Korea and whatnot. They have data centers there. They do these things. They make them be much better neighbors. But to your point about big money always seems to get their way here, and they're going to take every shortcut they can unless we hold their feet to the fire.
And you know what they have yet to talk about? I haven't heard anything about job creation. Nothing. I have not heard one job this is going to create, except for construction, obviously. But besides that, who's going to manage these centers? Who's going to go in and make sure the temperatures are? I mean, I'm like, well, who's going to do this? And who's going to clean the building? They haven't said anything. And that should be everybody's cautionary tale. When you hear no economic impact, That's a no-go for me.
Well, and so this is part of the issue here is that one of the major constituencies that wants these things built are the labor unions, and as good leftists we support labor, we support unions, people
What do you
being
mean
able to
you do?
organize against their boss, but um the labor that they are using for these data centers, it's typically not local. They're bringing in folks from out of
Mm-mm.
state that build these. They have whole crews that they'll build one and they'll move to the next place and build another one. They come
Right.
in, they build the thing and then they leave. They take the money with them, and sure, they spend some while they're here, but once that thing is up, to your point, it's not creating a lot of jobs. It's all automated. You've only got a handful of people that the thing is actually going to employ long term going forward.
Yeah, and that's why I was like, well, wait a minute, they haven't said anything. And I would love to like get a person that's pro data center just to hear their logic, because it doesn't even sound like, to your point, why can't they use renewable energy? Why can't we use renewable energy? Because if you haven't noticed, gasoline, I just filled up and I paid $40. I said, I cried. I was like, ugh. I literally sat there and cried. I said, how? I'm like, and it didn't even fill up. But that's okay. We're going to move on to our next topic. Um, Trump will not stop building stuff for himself. And he got the assassination attempt. And I keep telling you guys, I know some of you criticize me because I'm taking it at face value. You're gonna have to show me evidence that this was fake. There are a lot of questions. I give you that, but you're gonna have to show me evidence before I start going off of the riff. But Trump started talking about ballroom. And this is why we need a ballroom. A couple things about this. Of course, it's going to be named after him. Um, I think. No, that's the DeSantis Airport. Okay, never mind. So I'll get to that part here in just a moment. But there is to show you how petty this guy is. He is talking about building. That might be my load. Hold on a second. Sorry, guys. My pump is acting silly again. Um, he keeps building stuff to himself, whether it's airports, whether it's
I got a list,
kiosks.
Tracy. I got a list. You want the list? I got the whole
Yes,
list.
please.
NPR
Because I'm like, I can't think of.
NPR did a story on this week. They cataloged all the things that Trump is doing in D.C. Okay, number one, there's the ballroom, like you said. Now, why does the man want a ballroom? Well, if you have a ballroom, that proves you have balls, right? That he's trying to build this 250-foot arch, which will cut off the sight lines between Arlington National Cemetery and the city. They're painting the reflecting pool at the foot of the Lincoln Memorial blue. Gaudy blue, looking like a swimming pool. He renamed the Kennedy Center after himself, and nobody wants to perform there anymore, so they're closing the thing down. Apparently, they're building or attempting to build some sculpture garden full of like 250 statues of great Americans. Their list of great Americans is all over the map, by the way. Apparently, this thing is supposed to open this summer. They haven't commissioned any of the statues left or yet. Tick tick. The municipal owned golf courses in DC, they're trying to take those over. Like you said, I think the airport down in Florida, down in Palm Beach, named that after himself. The man will stick his name on anything. That's been his entire business model for the longest time.
I'm like, dude, you will not be president forever. There will come a day, and it's coming in 2028. I'm not one that believes that Trump's going to be in office forever. Yeah, he's going to try it, but he's not going to be. He will not. I'm telling this to my eyes. He will not be in office in 2029. It will not happen. I don't care how many times he says it. I don't care how many times he goes on TV to, you only had to vote one time. He'll try it. But people have to realize there are steps in place that will remove him if he refuses to leave, i.e., the military. I don't think people know this. I think people just assume, well, he could just stay in there because he's got no. If a president refuses to leave office after his second term, the military will say, Mr. President, or in some cases, hopefully someday, Miss President or Madam President.
Madam, yes.
You have to, it's time for you to go. And for people to, I wish the Democrats would stop using that as their, you got to elect us. Because I'm like, y'all got to come up with something else. I don't know what else y'all come up with, but that one y'all need to drop it because it's not going to happen.
Well, listen, the Trump and Hegseth are doing their best to try and purge the military of anybody who would actually, stand up to them and do their thing. But I think the Big Macs are going to remove Trump before the end of his term, and we won't have to worry about the military having to intervene. The arterial sclerosis going to catch up to him first.
But I think here's what I say, and this goes back to a conversation I had last week about the Supreme Court gutting the Voters' Rights Act. Nobody's going to agree with me. I blame the non-voters, and I want to apologize to non-voters because I can see why you don't vote. I'm going to take that back, and I'm going to squarely, my point is going to be overarching, and I'll get back to my Trump doesn't want to leave office. This is the Democratic Party's fault. This voting purge didn't just all of a sudden pop out of nowhere. If you go back to 2013, who was president in 2013? Barack Obama was president in 2013. Barack Obama was president in 2013, and there was and I can only remember one name. It's Shelby versus somebody. I cannot remember the other person's name.
That was Obama's Attorney General, Eric Holder. Yeah.
No, but it was a court case that gutted voters' rights, and Justice Roberts wrote his dissent, and you could tell like he was setting it up to gut like a second portion of it. You didn't do nothing. You just sat there like, okay, you did. Joe Biden had Congress, the Senate, and the White House. Y'all couldn't pass the John Lewis, the John Lewis voters. Y'all couldn't do that? And you're sitting here mad? Now you're mad. You had the opportunity. I think it's intentional, but I know nobody ever agrees with me because I'm like, yeah, y'all did this mess on purpose.
The Democrats, and God, don't make me defend the Democratic Party, Tracy. But to be fair,
yeah, because I know you will. Because I won't. We're different in that way.
In 2013, when Shelby County versus Holder was passed, Obama was president, but they didn't have the House. They didn't have Congress. They couldn't have got anything passed. Now, if you want to fast forward to 2021. When Biden actually had the whole government, you have this rotating villain problem, right? There's always just one or two Democrats, just enough where they can't get the thing done. And in 2021, in 2022, it was Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, and they didn't want to, in the Senate, get rid of the filibuster to go ahead and pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act and other voting reforms that would have prevented this very situation that we find ourselves in now, right? And listen, wouldn't you know, Joe Manchin, brought to you by the fossil fuel lobby, Kyrsten Sinema, brought to you by the private equity lobby, and it does all come back to money in politics. And not all Democrats are made alike. All of the good candidates, all of the good politicians we have in this country right now are Democrats, but not all of the Democrats are good. You always have ones that are bought by big money like Manchin and Sinema. And if you go back to 2008, when Obama had the full the House and a big margin in the Senate. They nearly had a filibuster-proof majority. They had a rotating villain then, and it was Joe Lieberman, and they couldn't quite get universal health care. They couldn't get the public option over the table. But if it wouldn't have been Lieberman, it would have been the next guy up. The next guy up at that point would have been Evan Bayh, by the way. He also, Indiana senator, former governor, helped kill the public option and lobbied against it in the Senate and got the watered down Obamacare that we got, which now Republicans have essentially neutered and made it where it's completely ineffective.
Here's where I'm going to totally disagree with you. You're right in what you're saying, but here's what I would say. I don't think, personally, I think Joe Biden's racist. I said what I said. I'm not going to take it back. Anytime you tell me that you don't want your children going to schools with Black children, I don't care. I don't like you. I believe Tara Reid. I'm just gonna say it. Just say it. I'm just saying. I know you don't agree. I'm just saying. Here's how I feel.
No, listen. Don't get me wrong. Joe Biden was terrible, but Tara Reid was a Russian op. She was bad. Joe Biden did hang out with segregationists. That was bad. The Tara Reid thing, I don't know about that one. But listen, I got plenty of beef with Joe Biden for sure.
He never wanted it. And this is why. See, Joe Biden as president and Donald Trump as president and Obama as president or any president has this thing called the bully pulpit. And I don't know if they don't know what it is, but let's just say, man's just acting up. He's just acting one. And cinema's acting one. You mean tell me you can't get the people in their district to call them up and say, hey, pass this bill? You did it for the COVID relief. That's literally, Joe Manchin was literally going to vote against the COVID relief. What did they do? They sent Kamala Harris to West Virginia, got her on some radio stations, and boom, bam, he got calls. You can't do the same thing for the voters' right. I contend he never wanted the voters' right. He never, when they asked him about reparations, he said, you better work with the Hispanics. Boy, you didn't even answer the question. The question was, are you for reparations? Joe Biden has never been for Black people. He's never, ever been for Black. Not that I can see. He's not Donald Trump evil. No, wait a minute. He's just as evil. Yeah, I said what I said. I'm not going to take it back. Because I'm like, he never wanted it. To me, this is why I'm not a Democrat. Because they see the opportunity. They know how to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory better than any other. Like, it'll be right there. The answer's right in their face. They'll be like, oh, let's not do that. Let's do this. Are you kidding me? If you had just passed the Voters' Rights Act, acted like you wanted the Voters' Rights Act, had said, okay, you're going to sit here, act a fool, take his wife off the commission. Say what you want about LBJ. And I got a lot to say about that. Man was clearly racist. I don't think anybody would say he wasn't. He probably dropped a couple N-bombs. But you know what? When he wanted something done, stuff got done because he knew how to carry that stick and he knew how to swing it. Biden was like,
funny story about LBJ's swinging.
Joe Manchin, you can't do something. You're the president. Go old school. Remember when presidents used to have those fireside chats and every week the president would come on and tell us what would happen? You can't do that? No, you're not going to convince me. No. Like, and that's why I'm just like, y'all don't try because you don't want to try. I want to see personally, if the Democratic Party just went away, I'm throwing a party, basically, because I'm like, bye. I cannot with them anymore.
Well, the parties have switched sides multiple times in the course of the country's history, and that's the kind of the nature of the two-party system, right? And which we will always have a two-party system as long as we have single-member district representation, as long as we have first-past-the-post voting, as long as we don't have ranked choice. Unless we change those things, it's always going to devolve into a two-party system. That's just kind of the way. But poli sci 101, Duverger's law, look it up. But unless we change those, we're sort of stuck with the system, short of revolution, which also might be a thing. Maybe instead of the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, we need the Joe Lewis Voting Rights Act. Give them a little, what for, right? But the parties have always changed sides, and back in the Civil War, the Democrats were the party of the Confederacy, of the slavers, and they stayed as much. They for 100 years after that, and the Republican parties were the radical liberals at that point, the party of emancipation, until they were co-opted by big business. Not much later, they started to compromise because of money, and the evolution took decades and decades and decades. I mean, I want to say most black folks, Tracy, voted for Republicans until FDR's second term, because during his first term, he actually started to deliver for black people. And, don't get me wrong, there were a lot of holes in the New Deal. It didn't do everything it needed to do, and those gains were not equally realized all over the place. But, until the 60s, all those old Southern racists were Democrats. And then LBJ, to your point, actually exercised the power of the executive to do things for the African American community, to get civil rights, to get voting rights,
and he
over
didn't
the finish
want
line.
to. Yeah, he didn't want to. That's the thing. That's what amazes me, when it's like, there's nothing we can do. LBJ didn't like black people, but he passed two significant things. Two things happened under him: Voters' Rights Act and affirmative action. Those two things happened under his administration.
And he got it done. From political pressure from below.
Political pressure. That's exactly what I'm saying.
But, he got it toward the end. Like in his dying days, LBJ gave a great interview to, I want to say it was Bill Moyers, and he talked about the problem of the Southern racists. And he said that, if you give a man someone to look down on, someone to hate, that they'll let you pick their pocket, and hell, they'll even empty their pockets for you. Yeah, right. I forget the exact quote. I'm dropping the ball here, but he understood that the power of hate as a political weapon, and as long as you gave somebody else to look down on, that you can, jingle the keys, right? You hide the ball. You can do your political project as long as you keep folks that should be working together distracted and divided. And we've seen that to this day. But all of those old Southern racists, they scurried out of the Democratic Party after the Voting Rights Act, right? And it took a long time for them to all become Republicans. It wasn't overnight where they just started voting for Nixon. A lot of those folks kept voting for Democrat for a long time. Hell, you look at Robert Byrd, Tracy. That guy was in the Senate for decades as a Democrat from West Virginia. He was a virulent racist. He wound up being like one of the deciding votes for Obamacare in 2009. Weird how party politics works.
And it's just, and this is why I'm solely blaming this on the Democrats. You had the chance to pass the John Lewis. I'm not gonna say Joe Lewis anymore. The John Lewis Voters' Rights Act, and you said, "Well, Manchin, common sense." You knew every Republican was going to vote against it. Well, okay, that makes sense, because they are who they say they are. But you're going to tell me you couldn't say to him, "Hey, look, bub, it'd be a shame if your wife was taken off that commission and I take her off of there. It'd be a shame if I sent Kamala Harris or hold rallies in your towns." There's so many things they could have did. And there was a apparatus which they could have avoided it being filibuster proof. And they didn't even...
Joe Biden didn't know how to play hardball, right?
Yes, that's what I think, and to me it's so intentional, and that's why that group of politicians need to be destroyed, because it's so intentional. But I'll say this, because if it wasn't, If it's not intentional, that means the Democrats are the dumbest people on the planet Earth. Because even I could have saw that coming. Even I'm like, okay, I don't know anything about politics. I got enough sense to know, oh, every Republican's going to be against it. How are you not for people voting? How do you say that? How do you say, oh, well, they can't vote in strong black districts?
Well, especially Tracy, because the Republicans have been telegraphing what they were going to do for decades, right? John
Yes,
Roberts
they told us.
was working on getting the Voting Rights Act repealed or at least weakened since the early 80s when he was a clerk fresh out of law school
Yes.
working for the Reagan administration. This has been his project for 40 plus years at this point. To what you said earlier in 2013 with Shelby versus Holder, he telegraphed, they said they were setting up when they gutted Section 5, then they were telling you they were coming for Section 2 now when the opportunity presented itself. And that is why Democrats should have gone to the mat in 2021 when they had the opportunity to pass those major reforms, including the John Lewis Voting Rights Act.
See, you're saying they should have.
They knew this was coming.
You're saying they should have. I'm saying they never wanted to. That's where I'm taking it. Because if you wanted to, I can only go by your actions. You doing nothing tells me, oh, you didn't want it in the first place. Because if you wanted the Voters' Right Act to pass, you would have did more than what Joe Manchin is go on. No, you say those Republicans gonna act like some idiots. This is what we're gonna do. I'll tell you how they can save this. I'll tell you how they can save this. They won't do it, but I'm giving them free advice. I don't even believe it's to this point. They could literally say, if they win the House, which they are most likely to, and win the Senate, they would pass the Voters' Rights Act.
But then
Hold
Trump's
on.
going to veto it. So this got to happen in 2029 or later. Yeah.
Here's the case you make for Trump because the man ain't brilliant. You just got to be the last person to talk to him before his vote. You already know, in essence, he's going to veto it. But if you get a super majority in both the House and the Senate, you could override his veto.
That is highly unlikely, but you'd love to see it. And maybe you get in his ear and you convince him that he would be like, I don't know, the savior of Black America or something. You just kiss his ass, you flatter him. Maybe he'd sign the damn thing. Who knows? He
wouldn't sign it. He's not going to sign it. But you would say, you know what? We passed it. Now it's up to him. The DNC has enough money to do this thing, I don't know, called run commercials, do like grassroots type of thing. They have the money to do this. Third party, we don't got the money. We got the ideas, we have the voices, but we don't have the money to get on TV and make our case. But that is something that they could actually do. Will they do it? Probably not, because again, I don't think they want to fight. I think they want to be the party that sends out fundraising letters and say, woe is me, look at me, I can't do anything. Send me some money. Help me now. I need
you to rush me $5 right now, Tracy. Listen, I will say this about the Trump era, and it is that if we've learned nothing over the last 10 years, it's that we can't be afraid to go big. So when Democrats or when the left takes power again, we have to go all out to make the reforms necessary.
Yes, go big or go
fundamental foundational level to change this country, because you can't nibble around the edges anymore. The edges have all been nibbled.
Oh, let's get the Affordable Care Act. No, let's get this thing called universal health care, which I call Medicare for all. That's what we need. Socialized medicine. If you don't like it, oh well. You could go to another country, but guess what they have in those other countries? Socialized medicine.
Yep.
Yeah, go to Canada. See how that works. Guess what they have? Socialized medicine. You'll be right back here. Yes, go. That's what I wish. That's what I wish the Democrats had the ability to do. I just don't believe that they have the. I think they have the ability. They just choose not to. And I'm like, and that's what frustrates me. I'm like, no, I can't not. When you have the ability, and then you turn around and you don't do anything. I'm like, that's my frustration with them. And like I said, I'm willing to put that all aside because we're going to get to my favorite topic of discussion, the primaries. So, in case you all do not know, Indiana had its primaries May the 5th. And pretty much, I only paid attention to the Indianapolis races because, well, that's where I live. So, I didn't pay attention to like statewide races except for the JD Ford race. Can I say this? I hope he beats the snot out of Victoria. I hope he beats her, beat her, beat her. I hope he gets. I hope a million people move to his district just to vote her out. That lady is altogether scary. I've never seen anybody like her. She's worse than Marjorie Taylor Greene. Because at least Marjorie Taylor Greene is calling Gaza a genocide. This lady, mm-mm. But there's a couple of things that stood out to me is that Trump, in essence, sort of got revenge. He supported 7 candidates to oust Republicans that have voted against redistricting, and I think 5 of them won, or was it 6?
Well, so there were 8 races that we were really watching on Tuesday night where Trump was backing. 8? It was so there were 7 incumbents that voted against him, and then there was an open seat where the person had voted against him and decided not to run for re-election. So in those 8 seats that we were watching, the Trump endorsed candidate won definitely 6 of them, right? They 6 incumbent Republican state senators lost their races, and a 7th still might. Fun story. You talked about folks who don't vote. Let's talk about how important voting is. In Senate District 23, that's West Lafayette, that sort of area. Spencer Deary, the Republican, and I'll call him the moderate Republican, but moderate's doing a whole lot of work there. He is ahead of his Trump-endorsed challenger, Paula Copenhaver, by 3 votes, 3 whole votes. There's going to be a recount there. So, if anybody tells you ever voting is not important, sometimes races are that close. But if he loses, that would make 7 out of the 8 races where the Trump-endorsed candidate won. 6 of the incumbents will have lost. Well, that would be 7. And then in the 8th race, the Trump-endorsed candidate won. That was in, what I forget what Senate district that was. But Jeff Edlington, who was my former state rep, actually won that Senate primary down there out in Greene County. So, yeah. Trump definitely revenge of MAGA here against the state senators who voted against Trump's redistricting scheme in December. And I'll tell you what, Tracy, if I may, let me connect that redistricting scheme to what's going on in the wake of the Voting Rights Act falling last week. We've seen all these southern states rush to redistrict. We saw Tennessee this week redistrict. They drew out the Memphis's predominantly black district, so now they're expecting to have a 9-0 Republican map in Tennessee. Best of luck to them. They may have wind up shooting themselves in the foot, because when they do these redistricting, they have to sort of dilute their advantage in the other districts to wind up stealing the one Democratic district. So we'll see. But regardless, flagrant racism out of the Tennessee Republicans. In Louisiana, same thing. They're in a redistrict there, try and carve out the majority black districts there. They were already, early voting was already underway in Louisiana. And they decided, you know what? Primaries off. We're going to redistrict now. Alabama's looking at doing the same thing. Florida redrew their maps. And it's the same thing that they were trying to have Indiana do last year. If you remember those maps that they had proposed last December, Tracy, they were going to basically they were going to pinwheel Indianapolis. They were going to carve up the city and send it out into like 4 or 5 different districts. They were going to go right down 38th Street. And for the folks who aren't in Indianapolis and know Indianapolis, 38th Street is a predominantly black area. And they were going to divide the community and send folks out into districts where I want to say one of them would have extended from downtown Indianapolis all the way down to the Ohio River, and they were going to dilute the black vote and spread it out into all these different places. That's what these southern states are doing. That's what Trump and the Republicans in Indiana wanted to do, and darn well that they're going to attempt to do it again if they get control of Indiana after this election. So that's why even we have our beef with the Democratic Party, and we have whole cows worth of beef with the Democratic Party. Got to vote for Democrats in the state Senate races this November for sure.
Here's what I will say. The Democrats, as Phil Davidson, have you ever heard of Phil Davidson? Phil Davidson he ran for Stark County Treasurer. And he basically screamed his whole entire nomination speech, didn't win. But he said something that is so ironic. I always laugh when I say his name. Desperate times call for desperate measures. No, he said desperate times call for what? And then somebody else in the audience said desperate measures. Again, this is the one time where I'm willing to say, you know what, I'll do it. But here's what I want. Because I say no tangibles, no votes. Listen, you got June, July, August, September, October. You got 5 months to get voters to get out. You better do something because you're not doing nothing. You're not doing anything. And this is too important. Yes, the citizens of Indiana stood up and we united across party lines and said this is a bad idea. And we'll do it again if we have to. But you best believe that you better get in the streets, get to these town hall meetings, get to these barbecues, motorcycle rides, malls, wherever you can find people, and get them to show up November the 5th or the 3rd.
I want to say 3rd this year, Tracy. Oh, you're putting me on the spot.
I think it's the 3rd.
Now I got to look at my.
Whenever it is that first Tuesday. Yeah, November the 3rd. Y'all got 5 months to figure it out. If you need ideas, and I normally won't do this one, call somebody that doesn't vote for you, and I'll tell you, hey, this is how you get people to show up. Because if we don't show up this time, they're going to try it. And Brom is just the idiot in charge. He wants to kiss Trump's butt. He wants him and Beckwith. I think they're in a 2-person contest to see who can kiss Trump's butt the most. Here comes the however things that don't work, because the Republicans, they're so stupid. The Democrats are stupid. The Republicans, they're a special kind of stupid. You said it. They draw themselves out of like you're drawing yourself out of contention. What are you doing?
They could backfire. They could backfire if not done right. But you've seen so many of these special elections over the last year, Tracy, where we've had these like special elections, state legislative races in Virginia and New Jersey last November, where Democrats are overperforming the 2024 vote by like 20 points in some of them. So if Republicans are diluting their advantage in some of these Republican areas enough,
they're going to turn red districts purple. Dumb. You're turning them purple for no reason. If you had just left it alone, you might have had a better chance. Like, just leave it alone. And here's something that will ultimately stop gerrymandering. It's a real easy solution. People showing up to vote. That'll stop gerrymandering every single time. It is the 100% foolproof way to stop gerrymandering. is if people get off their behinds, stop being lazy, stop making excuses. You can early vote, find out when early voting is, go early vote, and do something. That stops gerrymandering. No, they shouldn't try to gerrymander, but they will because, again, they're not smart and don't realize that that could actually backfire. But what stops that ultimately is you voting. And I'm talking to my audience now because I know Scott votes.
Well, I do. But I guess I'm not making excuses for the folks that don't vote. In a lot of places, Republicans have put hurdles in front of voters, particularly voters of color, particularly rural voters, particularly older voters, where folks have a hard time getting the ID. They have, the registration cutoff for voting is relatively early compared to some other states. Like in other states where they actually want you to vote, they have same day voter registration. The hours are reduced. Our voting hours. We close really early. We're like one of the first states in the country to close on election day.
Yeah, we're 6 to 6.
Yeah, 6 to 6. I mean, there's other places that go till like 8, 9 p.m. sometimes local, and you really got to rush after work if you work like a 9 to 5 job to get to the polls on election day after work. If you choose to wait that long, don't. But so I'm just saying there are hurdles. Not everybody that doesn't vote isn't voting because they're lazy. Sometimes it's because a lot of hurdles have been placed in their way. It could be a transportation issue or whatnot. But to your point, Democrats also need to give people a reason to come out and vote. And it can't just be these guys are mean, these guys are stupid, these guys are racists. It's
Trump bad.
What would we do for you if we win? And, I hear, oh, well, we don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. Well, don't let that stop you from like standing for something. You can't be meek. You got to go big. You got to say, give us the majority and we will do this. If you don't have the majority, then you can't do it. I get it. But like, you have to say what you're for, not just what you're against.
And good luck with y'all's parties doing that. Because I say y'all's party because I haven't voted different. It's been so long since I voted. I voted in this primary, but it was only literally to vote for like 2 offices. And I just happened to know the 2 people running. I was like, oh, okay, I'll vote for you because I know you, and I'll vote for you because I know you, everybody else. I was like, oh, okay, whatever. But good, I'm saying, there's a small part of me that wants to see the Democratic Party be the opposition party. But what I see is, oh, don't know, we're not in power. We can't do anything. Okay, so what you gonna do? Well, I don't know. I'm just like, do you want to win? Do you want to win and deliver? Because I don't see a party that wants to, especially the Indiana Democratic Party. Oh my gosh. I'm like, what is y'all woke or something? Y'all sleep? Wake up.
Now, a lot of that is there have been 20 years of baked in advantage for the Republicans. They have gerrymandered to the point where Democrats have a hard time just competing in a lot of these rural districts. They split up the cities the same way we were talking about the Republicans wanted to do with the state at the local legislative level. They split the cities in half too to divide up those areas. They split Lafayette and West Lafayette. So those are like multiple Senate districts. So the Republicans had these large swaths of rural areas. Democrats need to figure out how to talk to rural voters and get rural voters to realize that we have more in common with disadvantaged voters in urban areas than we do with like rich suburban Republicans. Those people aren't working for you. They jingle the keys, right? Ooh, abortion. Ooh, trans. Ooh, immigrants. And they want you to look at that while they're picking your pocket. And if you quit looking at that and realize that these people are screwing you and start voting like it, then we're getting somewhere.
Yeah, and just like I said, and I'll say, and then we're going to move on to the primary results. You can gerrymander all you want. But again, there's only one way to stop it. It's people voting. Now, yes, there are barriers. We absolutely understand that. But there's ways around those barriers, such as mail-in ballots, for college students especially. We got to sit down and figure out, okay, what's the game they're trying to pull, how we're going to work around it. Because we know this is what Republicans do. I will give Republicans credit for this. They know what their job is and they know how to do it. They literally know, okay, this is our assignment. Make it hard to vote. We got to figure out, okay, so how are we going to work around this until we can get in the position to change that? And i.e., if Democrats take the House and the Senate, pass the Voters' Rights Act, and put Trump's name, make him veto it and embarrass him when he does. Make it so that he can't veto it because he knows the pressure is going to be on him. That's your job, and you got 5 months to do it. But
well, and Tracy, coming back here local to that point, Trump is very unpopular now. His polling rating is in the low 30s. People are upset with the war. They're upset with their gas prices. So all of these Republicans that won their primaries on Tuesday with Trump's endorsement, that might have won them their primary, but Trump's endorsement might be a kiss of death come November.
Right. And that's if it's played right. But I'll tell you what I thought was going to happen, especially in the Indianapolis Congressional District 7, because I'm in District 7. And our city, them ran 15,000 times Andre Carson easily, which is what I thought. I knew he was going to win. But here's the point I want to make. He didn't win by as much as I thought he was going to win by. And I think that needs to serve as a wake up call. So when I look at his voters record, it's not terrible. He does not have a terrible voters record. However, it's hard for me to say what effort he has led on Congress. I haven't seen his name on any important legislation. And I'm talking about not co sponsoring, I'm talking about you actually writing that legislation, you being a voice for that legislation. AOC, as much as I dislike her and she hurts my last nerves, I know her for being for Medicare for all. I know her as a strong advocate for Medicare for all. I know Marjorie Taylor Greene, much as I dislike her. She's for anti-trans legislation. She's authored anti-trans legislation. Don't agree with her, but she's done that. I can't name anything that Carson has done. And I'm like, well, he did this. And I think that needs to serve as a wake-up call because I don't think his next time running, I think Destiny Wells is going to make a comeback. I think she's going to run again in 2028.
I don't know what Destiny's next plans are, but both her and George Hornado offered legitimate criticisms of Mr. Carson's record, to your point. He has been there for a long time. He has a good voting record, as you mentioned, on the issues where you want to see him. He votes where we want him to be. But we want to see more leadership, I think. We want to see him, number one, wrangle the Indianapolis Democrats, for sure, the Marion County Democratic Party, Mayor Hogsett, some of his sycophants, that machine. They are not good actors in Indiana. The Indianapolis Democrats kind of drag the entire state down because when people think, oh, Democrats in Indiana, they look at the news, they see Joe Hogsett and what he's doing. So, you'd like to see Andre Carson come in and maybe talk about Hogsett's corruption, say, hey, that's not the kind of Democrat I want to be associated with. We want to see, to your point, him author some legislation. A lot of the criticism of Democrats is they always tell you to wait your turn, right? Well, dude's been there for nearly 20 years at this point. I think it is his turn to do the thing and to be more of a leader, to be that elder statesman who has been around Congress for, going on 9 terms now. How this thing works. We want to see, you shouldn't be out there getting lapped and thought of as a leader relative to AOC, who's only been there since 2018, to your point, to Ayanna Pressley, who I like a lot, to Ilhan Omar, to the Squad, who all sort of, came in there in that same class of 2018. Andre Carson's got 10 years on all of them, right?
Yeah,
Like,
what have
we
you
want to
done with
see
them?
that kind of leadership from him.
Yeah, and that's why I'm like, so I think he should see this as a wake up call. Um, the sheriff's race got real nasty. I don't know what happened with that sheriff's race in Marion County, but it got nasty. I mean, quick. I was like, okay, if y'all gonna just keep throwing mud at each other, you're gonna actually talk about the issue of crime. And it, I say Indianapolis, but I know Indianapolis, for those watching, we got this weird kind of unigov thing where the county and the city and it blah blah blah. So I say Indianapolis. I can't name any other city in Marion County besides Indianapolis. I know
Yeah, you
they
got
exist.
Lawrence, you got Broad Ripple, you got
No, but they
Beech
don't have their.
Grove. Well,
If you put a stamp on it, it will say if you type in Beech Grove, it'll say Indianapolis, Indiana. It will not say Beech Grove. It will not say Lawrence. It will say Indianapolis, Indiana. Speedway, same thing.
funny story. Well, not funny story about that, but do you know why Unigov is that way? Like those Indianapolis and like the townships, Lawrence and Pike and Broad Ripple and Beech Grove and Speedway, and they all used to be like their
I
own
know Raymond
entities.
Lugar had something to do with it, but I was like a
Yeah,
little
that's when he
child
was
when that
mayor
happened.
back in the 70s, and they put in Unigov and they consolidated the city and county governments, but they did not consolidate the school districts. That
Nope.
because of racism.
Yep, I was like, I know it's got something to do with Lugar, but the sheriff's race got real nasty. I knew I'm gonna call her Mary Todd Sweeney. Oh my goodness. Did I get her name right?
Mary Kate Sweeney, Mary Todd Lincoln.
Yeah, yeah, I was you know what? I was thinking of Sweeney Todd, the musical. Oh boy. But yes, I knew
You
she
know
was
what?
gonna
I
win.
want to see this mashup, Tracy.
Because I'm getting mashups that don't make any sense. But I knew she was gonna win, even though I know Miss Lopez was running. I didn't vote for her because I did not do my research on that office.
The crazy thing about that race, Tracy, I don't know if you saw this. So I've got the numbers here in front of me. Kate Sweeney Bell, the incumbent establishment reek county clerk there in Marion County, won her race by about 2,100 votes. Close, turnout for the primary in Marion County was good for a primary. It was up over recent years by a lot. Well, there was a third person on that ballot,
Oh
and that
yeah,
third
the
person
dead guy.
was Bobby Kern, and Bobby Kern was a complex individual.
Rest
Let's
in
just
peace,
say that.
person. Yes, rest in peace to
He,
Bob Kernan.
he was a perennial candidate. He ran for everything. His name was always on the ballot in one form or another in Democratic politics over the last 20 years. But Mr. Kern, R.I.P., passed away of a stroke on April 3rd, and yet garnered 4,500 votes. And I would suspect of those 4,500 votes, in a two-person race, most of them would have gone to Carla Lopez Owens. Bobby Kern could not stand Kate Sweeney Bell. He talked mess about her all the time.
Yeah.
So
The thing about that race, though, he passed on April the 3rd. It's not like they had time to take him off the ballot.
That is correct. But, and we talked about this morning on my Sunday show, Tracy, is that, the people in charge of elections there in Marion County maybe could have put more information out there on social media, in the papers, on TV or whatever. Said, hey, listen, one of the candidates in these races has passed away. You should probably know that. But it benefited the incumbent, who was on the Marion County Election Board, Kate Sweeney Bell, to not say a damn thing.
You mean darn thing?
I do mean a darn thing.
Because I was like, oh, that's where the candidate died. And that's happened. Maybe they were doing it to say, you know what? This is who I really wanted. And I don't like her, and I don't like her. So I'm going to, even though I know He's up there in that great cloud of witnesses. He's walking, he's walking the King's Highway. I'm gonna just do it anyway to honor him. I don't know. But yeah, that is, like I said, that was the one race where I was just like, okay, and that's on me. I take full responsibility for it because I was like, as long as the Republican doesn't win it, I'm okay. Because that's what I don't want. And that's why was my basis. I'm like, I can't think of, like, I know what their job is, but I'm like, okay, she hasn't really did anything to make me think that she can't keep doing it. And maybe that's where I need to do better research. But what I want to talk about is the big one that's coming up next year, the Indianapolis mayoral election. Bunches of questions. I think Hockset is going to try to run again. I definitely think so. This is why. He's got $800,000 sitting in his chest right now. He's got a lot of, well, more than that.
1.2 million last time I checked.
Okay, so he's got $1.2 million. He can't run for Senate until 2032.
There is a Indiana Senate race in 2028, but keep in mind, Joe Hogsett would be 72 years old in 2028.
Yeah, I'm thinking, that's why I'm like, he's gonna be a little bit too old to run for that.
He is spring chicken for your average Democratic senator, by the way.
Yeah, I was gonna say whatchamacallit from Iowa, he's 92. He was in office when
Chuck
Motel
Grassley is 206.
But I think Hogsett runs, but I don't think he wins his primary. And I think he's going to run one because now I know he's got $1.2 million. I can't, unless he runs for governor, which I don't think he's going to do. I just can't see him running for governor. What is he going to do with $1.2 million? It's not like he's giving it to other candidates. So mayor would make the only sense unless he runs for Secretary of State, which I don't know about you, but I think, and I don't want to call him Evan's boy because that's derogatory. But I think Evan by son, pretty much, I think he's got it because the current Secretary of State, you don't think so? See, I think
I will do everything in my power to prevent it. I do not want to see that at all, but that's neither here nor there. That's a whole other discussion.
Yeah,
but
I don't know what else Hogsett could do besides run for mayor. I literally
how about get you a rocking chair? It's time to hang it up, my guy.
But I'm saying, what is he going to do with $1.2 million?
Well, theoretically, you should, contribute that to candidates who are like-minded, people who share your values, lift up the next generation of the party. That is what you should be doing with your $1.2 million war chest. I think people always assumed that Vop Ossily was the next in line, sort of Hogsett's chosen successor. I don't know if they've had a falling out or what, but if they are still aligned, you would think that Hogsett would sort of funnel a lot of money that direction. Whatever they do, I don't know. Whoever runs, I really, and there's another candidate in this race, and I can't recall his name right now. It's already announced. I know Andrea Hundley just had her official kickoff party. I want to say Thursday night. I am all about some Andrea Hundley for sure.
Are you saying to me you're going to be interviewing her?
Well, listen, I am not thinking about the Indianapolis mayoral race at this point, but long term, we definitely want to get Senator Hundley on our show at some point in the next year and a half.
Here's what I will say about her. Well, no, let me first talk about again why I think Hogsett runs, because again, he's got 1.2. He hasn't shown a propensity to share his money. He it's not like he's out here like, yeah, let me give it to this person. He hasn't done that. So he could not run, but again, and support someone else. Vop Oxley is garbage. I'm not even gonna sit here and pretend. And I said what I said. I'm not gonna take it back. well, maybe data centers could benefit. Maybe you should sit down and shut up. Maybe try that. Try not to. If the mayor endorses him, he will not win. That's how unpopular Joe Hogsett is. Our streets are terrible. Our streets are awful. He doesn't fight, and I'm talking about obsolete, I can never say his name right, nor Hogsett fight for IPS. They just let the state just come in, just do whatever. Yep, you want to get rid of IPS? Okay, good, good. Let's just get rid of them. We don't need the state's largest school system. What we need them for? They just sat there and said, okay. Um, so he's another one. If I see him on the ballot, I will go. I will vote for a pretzel stick. I will literally go into the election booth and be like, "Oh, pretzel sticks on there. Let me mark that vote in." So I'm interested in Hunley because she seems to be different. She seems to be more in line with what I think. And I'm like, okay, maybe. But of course, she's got to pass my 5 tests. Got to be against Gaza. You got to be against Israel funding to eliminate people. And you all don't know this. Indiana has given Israel a boatload of money, boatloads. And I don't think people realize that. So yes, it does. You know, what does that have to do with this? It does. You got to be for Medicare for all. You got to be for reparations. You got to be for getting money out of power. There's like 5 issues, and so far she's hit like every single last one. I'm like,
To
okay,
be
you're
fair,
doing good.
Tracy, now a lot of those don't really have a whole lot to do with like Indianapolis municipal politics at the state level, sure, but in Indianapolis itself, I don't know how much of that matters. I mean, look, it all matters. Just like you want to know, like I tell people, I want to know where people stand. If you're running for dog catcher, I need to know you have a moral core. But in terms of
Right.
like what those issues actually like have to do with on the day-to-day operation of the city, maybe not so
Here's
much.
one that could. Here's one that could, and it has to do with Medicare for all. Indianapolis is a tier 1 city. So basically, that means whatever we do, we have to quote unquote get the state's permission. Makes no sense to me why we got to do that because no other city has to do that. They get to do whatever it is they want to do.
They've made up this concept of a tier 1 city. It's completely invented out of whole cloth.
Yeah, absolutely. I would like a mayor to say, you know what, we want Medicare for all in Indianapolis, and say, you know what, I mean, be for it. At least I would know you're for it. Now, how possible that is to take it to court or whatever options there are, I don't know. I don't, because my show covers national politics, so I probably have to get more honed into it. But at least say it's a terrible idea that they just literally made up to control the city. Oh, and demand the governor live in Indianapolis and not fund his little helicopter in Jasper. That might be good for you to do. Um, Spending federal money, strengthening IPS and not getting rid of it would be important. That's where I don't know where she's standing. But far, so far, she hasn't said something. I'm like, no, I can't. I can't do it. So far. And her launch, 1,000 people, and it sold out.
There's definitely excitement in the community, I think, for Andrea Hunley to be mayor, and so much of what the mayor has to do is just the daily nuts and bolts of running the city. It's you got to stand up for your schools. You got to make sure your police are in line and they're actually working on public safety and not like harassing the community. You got to get them potholes fixed. You got to make sure that the homeless problem is taken care of in a humane way. You've got to work for the people and not for the real estate developers. And Joe Hogsett has been working for private interests, the developers, for three terms now, nearly, and they're. I understand the issues that you want to talk about and the issues that you're concerned about, and I'm concerned about those issues too. In a mayoral race, I don't think those are the primary issues that folks are going to be concerned about.
Well, they never are. That's why I said for me, these 5 are definitely important, and they're always going to be important. I get, I understand what you're saying, but I'm like, I'm never gonna not advocate for reparations. I don't care if you're running for stamp liquor. Are you for reparations for the descendants of slaves? That's a period. That's a point. I don't care what you're running for. But that's me. I'm just one voter, right? So these are my things. Because like I said, Israel, Indiana gives, like I said, a crap load of money to Israel. It'd be good if my state rep was like, we need to start giving them money. That's local, but it has an international slant to it. Because why are we giving our money to this country? We could use that money for Indiana because it's
Yeah,
Indiana
and
money.
that's the state treasurer who's buying a lot of Israel bonds, but also like the governor has a lot to do with the I don't know if you're familiar with the I forget what the agency is called. It's like kind of a joint research institute for between IU and Purdue and the Naval Surface Warfare Center down here at Crane. They do. Then there's a lot of Israeli investment into Indiana for that. I want to point folks to the big money that's Tom Pigot on Substack. Check out his stuff. He details this very in great detail. I'm not recalling the name of the agency at the moment. I want to say it's the IRA or something, and I don't remember what it quite stands for. I'm going to have to look it up now.
And while you're looking it up, here's the overall point that I'm making. Indianapolis is on the cusp of doing something that I never thought in my entire lifetime would ever happen. And that's having a black mayor. I didn't think it was a possibility. I didn't think it was gonna ever happen. I just thought, Indianapolis 33 to 34% of the population is African American. What I don't want, whether it's Oxley or Hunley or another candidate that I know is black, but I can't think what his name is right now. We don't need high places. We don't need black faces in high places. That stuff is over with. Expect criticism coming from me because it's gonna come from me. You already know I just called Joe Biden racist, and I'm not taking it back. I'm gonna ask you why you should vote. I want something for my vote. I'm not gonna be this vote blue, no matter who, blah, 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 blah. I want something for my vote. And I'll kind of talk about that in another podcast, but don't just expect me to vote for you because that's not going to happen. No.
I'm very interested about that dynamic, Tracy. Actually, I'm having Samantha Douglas on the Who's Left podcast Tuesday night, 7:00 live, and that's one of the things I think we're going to talk about is the way that the establishment uses black faces to carry on its big money duties, and again, dangle the keys. Oh, hey, look. It's one of yours. Vote for us, and then they're going to do you dirty regardless down the line, and that's a thing that we have to talk about. That dynamic, the vote blue no matter who, the vote black no matter who, in many cases. I'm interested. I've got some dumb white people questions. Is some ignorant white people questions that I want to ask, and I might make a fool out of myself, but I think it's important to ask them. A couple things I wanted to bring up. The other guy in the Indianapolis mayoral race who's already declared is David Bride. He is an administrator with the Indianapolis Department of Public Works, and the research agency, which I mentioned, is called the Applied Research Institute. That is the joint venture of IU, Purdue, and Crane, and the state government that does a lot of weapons system and AI research that was used to perhaps target those schoolgirls in Iran at the beginning of the war.
Yeah. And so, like I said, that Indianapolis race, I'm I almost signed up to be your volunteer for her campaign. I was so close, and I said, I was like, because I said, party politics, I'm trying not to do so much because I'm independent. I want to stay independent. I don't want to be tied, especially to it. Because if she were running as an independent, I'm telling you right now, I'm in. I am in it. But she running as a Darrell.
It's a lot. It's a lot harder to run as an independent. Sometimes you got
I
to do what you
know.
got to do.
I know this, but I wanted to, and I was like, no, because I didn't. I had a whole lot of hesitation, but I was real close. I was like that close, but I got to know more about her campaign. But so far, she's the only one that's close. Because obviously, absolutely, I'll vote for a cockroach first. I'll be like, oh well, cockroach is this, but at least I know it's a roach. Um, the last topic, and I want to have some fun with this one, is 5 reasons why I should never, ever be elected president of the United States of America. Under no circumstance would I even think about running for president. Why? You got to have constant security. People are always criticizing you. You're in charge of the most powerful country. Say what you want about the United States, but it still is the most powerful country in the world.
At least for now.
At least for now. China's catching up, but they still haven't overtaken us. We still have we have a voice on the world stage. And I like to have fun. I like to sleep. I like to, I don't think my diabetes would play because I'm type 1. And then they be like, well, her blood sugar might go too high or too low, blah, blah. But here are 5 legitimate reasons. And Scott, you want to jump in with your 5, but I have my 5 already listed. Number 5, my foreign policy. As a president, you need to have a sound foreign policy agenda. It can't be just isolationism. I don't believe in isolationism. I'm a global citizen. However, saying that, I know that the if you don't start none, it won't be none is not a good foreign policy stance to take. Now, while it may be true, if you don't start none, it won't be none is a good thought to have. I don't think that's what you should have when you go on as a president because you want to negotiate. You were supposed to laugh at that as you don't start none, it won't be none. But that's okay.
Look, Teddy Roosevelt, Tracy, speak softly and carry a big stick. So, like, don't start none, there won't be none. But if there is some, you want to be able to, be prepared.
Yes. That's number 5. Number 4. Y'all not gonna like me no way because I'm be like, why is we giving money to Israel? For what reason? All they're doing is killing people. We out here in 15 wars because of them. We're bombing Gaza. We're bombing Lebanon. We're bombing. I'm like, why? Why? AIPAC would literally destroy my campaign. And I would be problematic for 2 reasons. Number 1, I'm Christian. It would be hard to paint me as anti-Semitic when my savior practices the Jewish religion. You're going to have a real hard time with that. However, they will paint me as anti-Semitic because, gee, guess what I'm going to do? Quote the Bible and the parts that they don't like. And I won't manipulate evangelicals because that's what I call y'all, evangelicals or Israel-only Christians. Y'all hurt my nerves. No, I don't. I don't need to be your president. Number 3, I would be really strong on domestic issues. I think that would be my strength. So I had to pick a vice president that was stronger in foreign policy than I am. But who would I pick? Who would be this person that's going to step to me? Because ultimately, it's going to be me that's making the final decision. Everybody's going to be looking at me. I don't want that pressure on me. If it sounds like a good idea, I'll go for it. But I want to know the pros and the cons and and the peaks and the valleys. I want to do research before I'm out here doing it. And sometimes, as president, you have to act immediately, such as when there's a natural disaster, or when there's, God forbid, a war or something. You have to act quickly. I want to sit down and be like, well, okay, well, if we do this, what'll happen if we do this? Mm-mm. Number two, I'm gonna say something that's gonna mess with some people. Cause see, I'm good to start a fight. I don't care. I don't. You don't have to like me. I literally don't care if you don't. I'll say what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say what's on my mind. You don't have to like it. I'm not politically correct. I'm gonna probably chastise the left more than I do the right, because the right, I don't care about the extreme right. They don't matter to me. That's the other reason I can't be president. I'm your president, whether you like me or not. I'm gonna criticize the left and I'm gonna criticize the right. I got smoke for everybody. I got
That's a
smoke for
good
me.
thing, I think. An equal opportunity smoke giver.
Yeah, because I'm like, I never will let the, especially the left, because I'm like, y'all sitting here acting like y'all just pretty in the sky and did. I'm like, you know
Don't call
what?
the Democrats the left. They're not.
Yeah, they really are. And the number one reason, and I'm gonna say this is controversial. I don't think that this country has it in them to elect a president that's foundationally black. I don't think they have it in them. I know racism shouldn't play a part in it, but it does. Now you're gonna say, well, Tracy Obama's black, but his mother is white. You're gonna say, well, Kamala Harris is black, but her mother's Indian. I'm foundationally black. That means my mama is black and my daddy is black. I don't think America has it. Now, could I be wrong? Sure, probably. But if this last election didn't prove it, y'all not ready. This country is not ready for a, especially a foundational black female president. No. Heck, we wasn't even ready for Kamala, although she was a terrible candidate. Oh, she was terrible.
I don't know if she was a terrible candidate, but she ran a terrible race. I think she had a
Well,
lot of people in her ear that were like, no, 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 no. You just got to play this thing safe. You got to appeal to Republicans. You got to get in bed with Liz Cheney. You got to get in bed. You can't say
they thought that was
genocide.
a
Oh, you don't
flex.
want to.
They were like,
Yeah.
yeah, I welcome the endorsement. If I heard Dick Cheney was endorsing me, I'd be like, no,
Mm-hmm.
I'm with that. No, he can vote for it. He can do whatever he
Like,
wants to when he
yeah.
get in the polls.
Thanks, Dick. If you really want to help.
Yeah, don't say nothing. That's not a flex. Like she thought it was a flex. I'm like, girl. So those are literally, and I know the last one is controversial. You're being racist. No, I'm being realistic because I know what it's like to walk in this skin and to be what it is that I am. And I want to be wrong. Like I want to be wrong about any of my five, but I'm like, I just don't think this country is ready.
Uh, I wish I could say no, 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 you're wrong here, but I'm afraid that may very well may be the case. I mean, listen, we're living in the Trump era. We've seen the appealing power of racism still in the 2020s, and it is sad but true. And I think a lot of folks that look like me need to get our stuff together before this country can really heal and get on
But I
with
will say
doing
this
business.
though. I think there will be a woman president, but I think she's going to come from the Republican Party. And I always have said that.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think you're
think the
right.
Democrats are, I think she's gonna be way, she's gonna make Trump look like, please bring him back. Please bring him back. This is me. I could be wrong, but if I'm looking at the two parties, I don't think the Democrats are going to run another woman in 2028. They're not going to do it. Nor do
You
if they
putting in that
do it.
poly market bet on Marjorie Taylor Greene 2028 right now there, Tracy?
You know, here's what I will say about her, because obviously this is the woman that, according to her staff, loved to drop N bombs, and those are my favorite politicians to criticize. Um, She doesn't have a right now. The way the Republican Party is, they want to be this ultra Christian nationalist party that only elects white males. If they were smart, which they are not, they would really look to run a woman. If they were smart, I don't think they're smart enough to do it. I don't think they're smart enough to run a populist message with a woman candidate, but I guarantee she will win more votes than a Democrat. The problem with the Democrats is not that they're not willing to run a woman because they've done it twice. It's just the two women they run have been terrible candidates. If you're going to run a woman in 2020, you're going to have to do a whole lot better than Kamala Harris for me to say, you know what? Forget Dr. West, that's who I voted for in 2024. I'll vote for this lady. You're going to do a whole lot better. Not only was she a terrible campaign, she ran a terrible terrible. You don't get on The View and they ask you what should be a ballpark, out of the ballpark question. What are you going to do that's different from Joe Biden? And your answer is, I can't think of anything. I'm voting for you because of what?
Mm-hmm.
That cannot be your answer. And you can always build, you can say, hey, Joe Biden did this, and I'm going to build on what he did by doing this. Nope, she didn't do that. She didn't do that at all. She went with, I can't think of anything. And despite Trump saying that Haitians eat cats, or was it dogs? Cats or dogs? One or the other.
There we do the dogs and the cats. Yes.
Yes. I was like, he's still going to win because you're running terrible people. And I don't know who the Democrats are going to run. I can tell you who I don't want to run. I don't want Pete Buttigieg nowhere. Oh, that guy run. Oh, and it's not because of his lifestyle. I want nobody saying, can you get? Nope. He is a corporatist. Blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
Him, Cory Booker.
Gavin Newsom.
Gavin Newsom is the worst of the ones.
Andy Bashir. I don't want to hear any of that mess. Yeah, I don't know
Wes
if I've
Moore.
seen.
Oh gosh, Wes Moore, don't you run, Wes?
Yeah, I don't know. If you want to run a white guy, I like Chris Van Hollen. You could do worse than Chris Van Hollen. He ain't bad. Chris Murphy, he's all right. I don't know. It's going to be a. We got a long time to talk about all that, Tracy.
Oh no, we don't, because I'm telling it's May came up, and I'm like, oh shoot, it's 5 months until the election, so it's gonna be here sooner than we think. So before I end, Scott, talk about your podcast and where people can find you.
Yeah, thank you, Tracy. Listen, it's been a pleasure. I always enjoy spending time with you. And thank you for being with us on Tuesday night for the election night coverage. I had a lot of fun having you.
Oh, that was a humdinger, wasn't it? 4 hours. I was like,
it was a long night. But folks can find me online. My social media handle is @Who's Left. That's like Hoosier Left, HOOS Left. On all your social media sites. My website, my personal website is who'sleft.us, and I am part of the larger Progressive Indiana network. There's several of us creators that all post under that brand name. Our website is progressiveindiana.net. I do my show there on Tuesday nights, and I also have my weekly Sunday morning news show at 10:30 every Sunday morning on progressiveindiana.net. Find us there.
And that's a show I never capture because I'm always at church. I'm like, well, I'm at church that time. But I do go back and watch it. I did just watch it today.
Well, I appreciate that, Tracy.
Live. But okay, so everybody remember, subscribe to the channel. Subscribe. I'm only 83. Yeah, I'm so close to 500. It's like right there. Like I'm right there. Support me on Patreon. Support me on GoFundMe. This is the one that's important. This is the one that's important because this affects my August the 16th show. There will not be an August the 16th show because I will be at a performance with the drama camp that I get to lead this summer. 42 children camp. We're trying to raise $3,500 so that we can pay for books, musicians, costumes, etc., etc. So any contribution, large or small, would be appropriate. Remember this Thursday, because everybody had such a great time, I'm continuing my deep dive into how third parties can raise money, because unfortunately we don't have publicly financed elections, nor do we have the legislative body that wants publicly financed elections. So it's always necessary for us to go out here and raise money. But I've been sharing my tips, and somebody said, we'll keep sharing them. So I will be doing that exclusively on Thursday. And then, of course, my Saturday show. Um, I was going to do word salad politicians, but I'm going to change the topic and move that down to another time. And I'm going to talk about, they really made this TV show. That's the question, because there's like 3 or 4. I'm like, y'all just sit there and came up with that by yourself, or did you just go to stupid and say, yep, that's a good idea? But those are coming. Remember, there's 125 days until the NFL comes back. Mark it down. We're getting closer. All we gotta do is make it through July. If we can just make it through July and then hit August and just kind of breeze through August, y'all, September the 11th is gonna be right here, because remember, the Niners and the Rams, they play in Australia. So the season is kind of weird. The season is gonna start on a Wednesday. With the Seahawks and Patriots, they'll play again. I think it's the Patriots they play. Yeah, they play the Patriots on that Wednesday night game. Then the Niners will play in Australia the next day. Oh, my team plays in Australia. I don't even know how I'm going to watch that game. Hopefully, I can figure out that. But anyway, 125 days until football comes back. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I hope I'll be welcome back on Scott's show, even though I did call Biden a racist. I was like,
well, you're not wrong.
But I do definitely make sure you tune into my Thursday show, because I will be doing some deep dives. So thank you all very, very much. Have a great evening. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Peace. Bear down. Thanks, Tracy.